Hi guys, it's Mook again. There's several things I'd like to do today, starting off with putting handles on these two blades. I forged these two blades just out of some scrap pieces of tool steel I had, and forged them, hardened, tempered. Took a wire brush to them, kind of got the scale off, but I've left them with this kind of interesting hand hammered look. I have no idea what I would call this style, sort of a, I don't know, modified Nessmuck, but as you can tell, they're really not too big. I think I'll make them like into little neck knives. But anyhow, what I've done is I've cut some blanks of ash, I like to make baseball bats out of. I've drilled some pilot holes down the middle. I'm going to clamp the blades in here, heat the tang with my handheld propane torch, and just kind of burn the tang into the hole. Now, like I said, these have already been hardened and tempered, so I don't want the heat from the torch to ruin the temper. So what I'm going to do is wrap this wet rag around the blade, and I'm going to try to keep the heat down at this end, let this end do all the burning in, and then by the time I seat it, I won't have gotten a lot of heat down into the blade. If I do see that this is starting to smoke a whole lot, I'm going to dip this in here and cool it off real quick. That looks pretty good. I'm going to pull it out and do one more burn, get it a little bit further down in there, and that'll be done. Alright, I've got each blade seated down in its respective handle. It's a pretty tight friction fit, but I wouldn't want to rely on that to hold the blade in permanently, so what I'm going to do is mix up a little 2-part epoxy. I'm going to put a little blob of it down in each of these, and I'm going to push the blade down into the tang down into the handle, and let it set up, and then later I'll shape the handles. Alright, while I'm waiting for the epoxy to cure, I wanted to show you guys a little something about my forge. At last report, the mixing chamber and air intake and all that was canted off to the side. About like that. Well, as it turns out, having the heat come straight down is a little better than coming in from the side. So I went over to my friend Bill's house and we cut the legs loose, rotated the can and welded them back in place. So that's one thing. I took some of my fire bricks and cut 2 of them to make, in glass blowing they call it, I guess, a glory hole, but basically to keep more heat in there, right? On the inside, I don't know if this will show up, but I took a piece of pipe right up there and I cut an oval opening so more heat goes back and forth and less of it splashes out the sides up the wall. Finally, Bill and I welded these 2 pieces of rebar to the front, to hold up these bricks to make the little glory hole. Okay, I've got a stand. This is actually just a run-out stand that I use on my table saw. But what this does, this lets me put long pieces of work in there and lets them rest instead of me just having to stand there and hold them up all the time. Oh yeah, this is something I was just goofing off with the other day. I took a piece of this 5/16 round stock, tapered down the end of it, and just made a little curly Q, just for fun. Alright, what else have we got? Oh yeah, I went to the flea market. I got a smaller ball peen hammer and a smaller cross peen hammer. You know, this is like on those little knives that I showed. This is actually much more helpful to work on that little stock than this great big cross peen hammer. I mean, this one's got its uses, but for a little more delicate stuff, this definitely helps.